Hi, I'm Philip Dockery, and today I want to talk with you about one of my cases from last week with DMEK graft unfolding in a phakic eye. So one thing that we do know about phakic eyes in general in DMEK is they're shallower than eyes that have already had cataract surgery. And you notice here the pupil is a little bit larger as well. So pupil enlargement can happen during descent rexus, or it can happen as a result of the subtenons block. And so after we inject the graft here, you can see that there's a slight kink in the graft. And that kink in the graft tells us that the chamber is shallow. And it makes it where we are limited with our number of moves that we can do. Because of how shallow it is, we can't do an up bump technique because all that's going to do is kink the graft. But we do notice here at the distal portion of the graft, it looks like it's in a kind of confined double roll orientation. So we may be able to get a cannula and just do some parallel taps along the cornea or along the graft to be able to do graft unfolding and open it up. That gives us a 50% chance that it's right side up. And then at that point, the case is pretty much over if it's right side up at this point. So let's see what happens. So here I come in and put some taps parallel to the graft right in the middle, allowing for it to open up. And see here already we can see that the graft is opening up at least on one side. And you can still see one of the edges of that unrolled portion kind of billowing in the AC. That's telling us that while the chamber is shallow, it's not completely flat because that edge is still wanting to curl up a little bit. And so because it's not completely flat, then it makes it where our Durazomer technique that we're about to do here may be a little bit limited. And you can see I'm being a little bit aggressive with my swipes here for Durazomer. It should be just a little bit more gentle. That's why the graft is pushing all the way over to the side. Instead of just having some gentle swipes, I'm almost swiping it like a grandpa with an iPad, just being a little aggressive here. And so you see the whole graft move. I start to do a shuffle bump back over. I'm gently just kind of bouncing on the surface to move the graft more central into the eye. Shuffle bump is working here because we do have some depth, a little bit more of a depth than we'd want for Durazomer, but an appropriate depth for a shuffle bump technique. And you're hearing me throw off a lot of these terms that we use. There is a DMEK unfolding manual that's written by Jack Parker that we use a lot of these terms to describe movements and orientations of the graft as well. And then so here again in a double roll orientation, just trying to tap out that edge and then shallowing the graft here through the main wound so that I can better unfold it using Durazomer technique. If I go back, unfolding using Durazomer technique, as you noticed right there, it wasn't unfolding very well when I was trying the Durazomer taps, when I was using the tip of the cornea or the tip of the cannula. But when I adjust to using the heel of the cannula, it actually makes the graft unfold much more quickly. And see, here I use the heel and it unfolds quite nicely. And then see, I'm going to be doing it on this side where I hold down the side that's unfolded and then use the heel to unfold the folded edge. Again, shallowing the chamber so that the Durazomer taps are more effective. Another thing that you may notice here is we do have an orientation mark on this graft. It's very easy to see in this light colored iris where I'm tapping out this one little edge here. But you can see that the arrowhead is pointed clockwise so that we know the graft is already in right side up orientation. And then giving a light little shuffle bump to move the graft to the center of the eye. And then after this, I'll be going in with an air cannula to lift the graft. One thing with phakic eyes or any shallow chambers in general is you don't have to go all the way to the center of the eye to lift the graft. You really can just go to the mid-periphery or really barely under the graft edge. The air bubble will lift it up without pushing it over to the side like you may see in deeper chambers. And then that really concludes the end of the case. And so with DMEK graft unfolding in phakic eyes, you do have to be concerned about a shallow chamber. With larger pupils, the chamber is further shallowed, but in the periphery and can still be deep centrally. So sometimes that can make our graft unfolding techniques a little less predictable. wanting to make sure that the chamber is very shallow during your durazomer taps to kind of help unfold the graft and hold it in place, but needing some depth if we're wanting to move it over using a shuffle bump. Otherwise, it's just going to kind of get stuck into place. And another thing being very effective with durazomer techniques, instead of using the tip of the cannula, using the heel of the cannula can really propagate those waves to help unfold the graft. And then after the graft is fully unfolded, in phakic eyes or eyes with shallow ACs, just barely getting under the graft and injecting air instead of having to go all the way to the center of the eye to inject the air. Thanks for joining me with this DMEK graft unfolding in phakic eyes. Hope to see you soon.